Hey guys, this is the CVlife BearMight 6-24 by 50 rifle scope. And this thing is a monster with a 34mm tube. This is a humongous scope, and this is probably one of the nicest ones that I've ever reviewed. So what we're going to do is we're going to unbox it, we're going to do a clarity test, and we're going to do some plinking with it. So enough yapping, let's unbox this thing. Alright, here is the box. I really like it when CVlife actually sends it in something like this and not a plain box. So we have some information about it. Shockproof, waterproof, fogproof, nitrogen purged, and this says country values for life since 2005. Alright. Got some iPhone case unboxing kind of thing going on right here. Oh man, this thing is big. Oh my gosh. Alright, so we're going to pull it out of the box. Here we got it. It is very, very much protected. It comes with some very nice scope rings. And again, when you buy something like this, whoops, they just send you some very nice scope rings. And we'll take a closer look at these, but these are some hefty scope rings. And here's kind of like your goodie bag. You got some extra things in there, and yeah. Alright, let's take a look at the scope. We gotta figure this out. So, oh, look at that. That thing's so cool. Alright, I'm just gonna rip this off because we don't need this packaging anymore. Here is the scope. Oh my gosh. I think this thing comes in at around 16 inches. And look at these dang turrets, man. Alright, so let's do some specifications. Alright, so we're going to go over the specs of the scope. And if you don't really care to hear about the specs, you can always skip ahead and go to the shooting segment or the testing segment or whatever. But yeah, so first we're going to start with the eyepiece all the way down to the objective. So, eyepiece. This allows you to focus the reticle to your eye. So overall, super duper smooth with no grit at all. So you can always adjust this really easy. It's not stiff or anything. It's magnification ring. It's smooth, but has a little bit of grit. It's still very smooth though, but let me see if you guys can hear this grit. A little bit of grit to it, but not bad. They provide a throw lever that easily screws in there, and this will make it even smoother. Alright, the turrets. Sadly, the turrets don't lock. There's no locking mechanism for them, but it does have a zero stop. So if you ever come off zero, just turn it back to zero, and I'll show you guys how to install that in a second. But turrets, just amazing sounding. Just a really nice, it's almost like a nice, I don't know how to describe it. It's just a very good sounding turret. It's very deep, and you know when you click it. Very smooth, and if just the itty bittiest little tiny bit of play. Barely any play to it. The turrets overall are just really smooth and nice. You definitely know when you click them. Alright, and then you got the windage. The windage is the same thing as well. Alright. This also has an illuminated reticle, and you have 6 levels of brightness, and in between each level is a stop. So basically what that means is you go to the first level, you turn it again, it stops, it turns it off, second level, and then it turns back on and all that. So this is the illuminated reticle right here. So to adjust that, just like that. It's super smooth and very clicky, very nice, so super smooth. Then you have the parallax. The parallax is actually right here, and is the bigger knob closest to the scope. So the parallax adjustment goes from infinite down to 20 yards, and this thing puts it exactly on it. So there's a little arrow that indicates what parallax you're on, and this also is extraordinarily smooth. Look at this. Then you have the objective. Objective lets in tons of light. It's a 50 millimeter, so lets in a lot of light. The scope tube is a 34 millimeter. A lot of people think that the scope tube means you get more light. That is actually not true. The objective is the thing that lets in more light. The bigger scope tube allows you to get more MOA of adjustment. It can get you 75 MOA of turret adjustment. 75 MOA of turret adjustment. Also, it's 1/4 click at 100 yards MOA, so 75 MOA of adjustment. That is insane. Some scopes, I believe, only give you 30 MOA of adjustment. The windage gets you 60 MOA of adjustment, so you get tons of adjustment with this 34 millimeter tube. The scope is also a Christmas tree reticle, so that's pretty cool. It gives you a lot of room for drop compensation, windage compensation, and all that good stuff. I'm going to show you guys how to install the zero stop, and then what we're going to do is I'm going to align you guys with the scope, and we're going to do some clarity testing. Then we'll put it on a rifle and do some plinking. I'm going to show you guys how to change the zero stop. So what you're going to need is this little key right here and the zero stop ring. What you're going to do, set your scope to 0. So I have mine on 0. You're going to unscrew this cap right here. Unscrew this cap. Put that aside. Pull it up, and you're left with the turret internals. Then you're gonna get your little scope ring, and it's got a little arrow, and what you're gonna do is there's this little tiny silver nook right here. So right there, and what you're gonna do is you're going to use the arrow. There's a little arrow on there, and you're going to put it like this. So basically, the arrow is going to be pointing at that little silver piece. So arrow points at this little silver piece, and it won't move like this. So that's your zero stop. Then what you're gonna do, you're gonna grab your turret, and with this arrow right there, you're going to align the 0 with that, just like that, so it sits just like that. Then get this little cap thing again, and screw it on just like that. Get your key, and make sure that's nice and tight. So now you have set up your zero stop. So you dial long range, then you need to come back home, just like that. It stops right at 0, so it's not going anywhere. So that is how you change the zero stop. All right, we're gonna take a quick look at these scope rings. Each one of them comes in this little bag. Recoil lug, that's good to see. If you got a high recoil rifle, just make sure that it won't move at all. And this thing is a nice piece of metal. We got hex screw mounts, and it tells you the inch pounds on the screws and the scope mount right there. So that's really cool. And it seems like they're kind of like high scope rings, but man, the finish on them is just really nice. There's no they're actually a very decent set of scope rings. They're not too heavy, but they're still solid. Really nice. Here is a big tall weed that I found at 340 yards, and this is on 6 power, and we're gonna zoom in to 24. 10 power, so this is what 10 power is. And if you notice that the reticle actually gets bigger with the magnification, that is because it's a first focal plane scope. So, and we're gonna go all the way up to 24. So as you zoom in, this actually amplifies the defects in the scope or in the glass. So as you can see, it does look a little bit more hazy and all that, but through my eye, it looks a lot clearer than it does on the camera. For whatever reason, the cameras and scopes do not like each other. I guess glass and glass doesn't work very well. But yeah, so that's a good example of what it looks like at 340 yards. And here's an irrigation system at 560 yards, and this is on 6 power. And we're going to slowly zoom in to 24. So this is what it looks like at 24, and this is basically what I see with my eye. It's a little bit cloudy, but even when I'm not looking through the scope, when I'm looking over there right now, there's some sort of, it's not very bright over there, so I'll give it to the scope. I don't think it's the scope's fault that it looks like that, but you can actually see some, I believe it's called aberration or something, but it's purple. You can see purple outlines on the thing, and that normally, or is actually defects in the glass. But yeah, so that's what it looks like. Here is a tractor at 700 yards, and we are at 6 power, and we're gonna stop at 10 power, so you guys can get a look at what that looks like. And the reticle's looking really sharp, honestly. And then we're gonna go all the way up to 24. So this is what it looks like at 24. And it seems like since we're in a lighter spot, there's more color. And goodness, honestly, at 700 yards, that's some good glass right there. That's really good. You can really make out this tractor, and there might be some of that purple color here and there, but honestly, if that was a deer out there, I'd snipe that thing. So I'm very impressed with that. And yeah, so that's not bad at all. Alright, I'm going to show you guys the illuminated reticle. And we're just pointing at a barn, and if it's blurry, it doesn't really matter. We're just looking at the reticle. So this is on 1st power. Then it turns off. 2nd power. 3rd power. And this is when you can kind of start seeing it. 4th power. 5th power, 6th power, and this is when you can really tell that it's there. So obviously it is very bright outside, and this is the darkest spot that I could find, and yeah, that's what it looks like with the illuminated reticle. So really nice. I like how it doesn't illuminate the whole reticle, it just illuminates that. It looks really cool, and yeah, so that's what it looks like. Alright, we're going to do some plinking and show you guys what it looks like through the scope. We're going to go onto this bowl. Knock that one. And this play is still going, so we'll hit him again. I'm going to set up my gong real quick. Nailed it. See if we can hit this pole. Nailed it too. Awesome. So that's basically what it looks like when you shoot into the scope. Hey guys, we're going to talk about the BearMight 6-24 by 50. I'm just going to tell you what I like and the things that I noticed that I kind of don't like. We're going to start from the back part to the front part, and we're going to talk about it and all that stuff. So, eye focus wheel thing, super duper smooth, and it works really well. Magnification adjustment, super smooth and easy to reach, especially with this included throw lever. You can really do it fast. So if you put this on an AR-15 or something, and you're shooting some targets, you go on fast and all that, flip it like this, spot your target, flip it over, max zoom to 24. Really easy to get a hold of, and it's really smooth and stuff. When I first unboxed it, it was a little bit stiff, but as I used it, it did wear out considerably. Like the second time that I turned it, it wore in. Let's talk about these scope rings a little bit. Scope rings, the included scope rings, they have a nice finish. They look very well machined. They're probably, I would say, if you were to buy them by themselves, they're probably like $30 rings. You can always upgrade, but having these instead of having to go and buy something immediately is kind of nice. They're not a permanent solution. You can always choose something else. But honestly, if you don't want to, I say these scope rings are great. They fit nicely. They have hex screw mounts. So the hex screw mounts and stuff, you can really torque down on them, all that. They have the torque 18 inch-pounds, so you can, if you got a torch wrench, you know how to do it and all that stuff. You don't accidentally mess up your scope. These, since they're torque screws, they don't strip out as easily as Allen keys, and each of the mounts here have 2 on the base, so that adds for extra durability or stability. If they got lugs, so if you got a hard recoiling rifle, then these shouldn't move at all. So I really like the rings. Let's talk a little bit about the reticle. The reticle is a first focal plane. It's my first time ever using it. Out of my 3 years, 2-3 years of air gunning, I've always used second focal plane. So, do I like first focal plane? Yes, I do. Reason is, when you have a second focal plane, the reticle stays the same exact size as you zoom in. So that obviously changes the values of the mil dots, and in turn you have to do more calculations to get the holdovers correct. With the first focal plane, it zooms the reticle in at the same time as it zooms in the picture, making the values not change at all, making holdovers easier and simple, and just really simple. They're real fast and all that. It has an illuminated reticle. I really like the illuminated reticle. I like how the reticle, or the crosshair part, like the little cross looking thing with the dot in the middle and all that, it turns red with it. I really like that. It's a really, really cool feature. It looks like something out of Call of Duty. So, I also like the Christmas tree reticle. Reason I like it. So, with most traditional scopes, like my Bug Buster, there's the mil dots, you have the crosshair, and along them are mil dots. Let's say you got a target at 200 yards, you got to hold over. So you're holding over, but then you got to hold over for wind. So on the third mil dot, I'm holding for 3 mil dots, and then I have to hold 5 mil dots for wind. So basically, I'm holding 3 mil dots. I have to keep checking, making sure everything is aligned properly, and then I have to make sure that the windage is aligned properly too. So what ends up happening is I'm focusing on 2 things and not really the shooting, and it kind of gets irritating because I'm trying to make sure I'm trying to make sure the windage is right, trying to make sure the mil dot or the holdover on the height or whatever is correct too. What the Christmas tree reticle does is on each mil dot, there's actually the windage there for you. So I can hold 5 mil dots above the target and hold 5 mil dots to the right for wind, and it's all in one line, and that's easier for me to do. I don't know, have like ADHD or something. I don't know. It seems like it's harder to do that without the Christmas tree reticle. So I like the Christmas tree reticle. It's a nice touch. Alright, let's talk about the turrets and the parallax and all that. So the turrets, I like the zero stop. And the turrets, man, they're really nice. I did notice starting from 0, and it stops like exactly on 0. The zero stop is very precise. But anyway, when I scroll up, I get stopped at about 43 MOA. So you get 43 MOA of adjustment with the zero stop, which is plenty. But if you're an air gunner and you're doing long range, you might actually maybe need to take the zero stop out, because if you need more MOA, because I believe this does go up to more MOA adjustment. They aren't pop-up or anything, which could be an issue for some people, but I kind of like rubbed it and all that to make sure like it wouldn't twist on accident, and it didn't seem to really do that. Maybe if you got caught on a bag, it might do that, but again, all you got to do to check your zero is twist it and make sure it's at 0. Parallax. So parallax is really smooth and all that. I did notice the numbers don't seem to be as precise. There's little numbers tell you what yardage. I go to 50 yards and it might be a little bit blurry. so I have to like adjust it up or down or something to make sure the picture's correct. So they don't seem to be pinpoint accurate, but they're good. But they are nice to have the numbers so you can fine tune it afterward. But my Bushnell scope, which is about $100 more, does have better parallax accuracy or something. Then 34mm tube adds for more adjustment. I think you get like 70 MOA on elevation, so that's very nice. The main bell objective is 50mm, making it allow a lot of light in to your eye, so that's very nice. But here is the icing on the cake. I don't know why, but when they add sunshades and scope covers, a lot of companies do not make the sunshade and the scope cap compatible, and oh man, that just makes me so annoyed. So you'll like put the sunshade on, but then the scope cap doesn't work. You can't use the stupid scope cap. Well, what CVlife has done, they made it so the sunshade and the scope cap is compatible. So unscrew the sunshade and I can put my scope cap on there and it works. Normal scope cap. And then I want the sunshaded. Maybe it's a little too sunny outside. I don't know why I always have issues screwing on the sun caps. Screw the sunshade on. It makes a horrible noise, but whatever. Screw it on, make sure it's tight, and I can pop my my scope cap on there and it works perfectly fine. I really like that. I don't know why. I don't know why most scopes don't do that. Like, come on, man. Because in the scope, this is useless when you can't do that. It makes the thing useless. So I'm very glad CVlife put that into perspective. But yeah, so overall, after using the scope for about a week, I have gotten a lot of use out of it, and I really like it. It's long. It makes it look cool. It makes this gun look cool. This is more of my bench gun. I don't really walk around too much with it. If you want a compact scope, this probably isn't it. It's a little bit too heavy, and it's got all these fancy features and stuff, which is cool, but it does add the weight to it. But yeah, do I think it's a good budget bench gun scope thing? Yeah, I think so. I really like it. It's pretty clear. It's got all the bells and whistles you want, and it's at a pretty darn good price. If you got any questions, put them in the comments. I'll answer them. If you want to pick yourself up one, there's a link in the description, and have at it, man. Go get yourself one. I'm pretty happy with mine. CVlife has some good stuff, so if you don't want this scope, go check out their other stuff. So YouTube's got a video for you, and then here's another one that I put up or something. You guys can go watch one of them, and I'll see you guys in the next one.